Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM The Fan. Time for another edition of the Spare Time Bowling Show podcast. Don't forget, you can always download this on your Odyssey app or wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Joining me, as always, Dwight Albrecht of the Spare Time Pro Shop in beautiful New Berlin, Wisconsin. Phil Brylow, who is playing hurt in his house instead of in the studio. Before we get to the PBA League Draft recap, what happened, Phil? How did you get hurt? Did somebody take you out at the LBC or what happened?
No, I took myself out. I was getting some wiring out of the way with a painter's pole, and I just turned and pivoted, and something my knee popped. So it's just old age. Send me to the glue factory. I'm ready. There was nothing, no contact or anything like that. So probably torn meniscus, waiting on insurance to, approve the MRI and get that all done. Yeah. So me and crutches, and crutches is my best friend now.
Okay, well, good luck. Okay, so I want to talk about the PBA League. Now, as we all know, the PBA League, they had their draft on Tuesday night.
Right.
And that's why we're recording this here on Wednesday morning. But I thought about something last night, and I'm sure that Phil Brylow probably has a good answer for me of why this does not occur, because as always, I'm always kind of thinking of different ideas of how to kind of change things a little bit. So they do it at Bowling Heaven, the actual PBA League, right? So all these PBA bowlers go to PBA Heaven, or Bowling Heaven, as I like to call it. And that's where they do the league. All the matches, the shows, everything is taped there, recorded there, shot live there, the championship, whatever. It's all there. Why don't they do like a regular schedule, right? So like Milwaukee gets two home encounters. Chicago gets 2 home encounters, whoever. Because if you do that, now these guys would have even longer to bowl. They'd have more live tournaments, and you could stretch it out over, 3 months, whatever the case may be, week to week. And now you're taking the PBA on the road, right? And you're giving, now Milwaukee, we know Milwaukee gets plenty of opportunities. I'm not saying Milwaukee. But like now, all of a sudden, now you're in Chicago. Now You're in New York. Now you're in LA. Now you're all over. And maybe it's not 2. Maybe it's everybody gets 1, because 2 would take forever. So maybe everybody gets one home shot where everybody bowls, a match amongst each other in that one deal. And then you go to the next one. And every market then gets these PBA bowlers rolling in. And then the championship, or whatever the case may be, ends there, right where it should end, obviously, in Bowling Heaven.
Great idea.
In Portland, Maine, for those of you that don't know. Phil, thoughts?
I think part of it has to do with money, just on the basis of that's more travel for the players, that type of thing. So unless there's more sponsor money or Brylow money or wherever it might come from, that's really the big factor right now. I've heard some things, rumblings in the background, nothing official from anybody, that they're looking in future years to possibly do something of what you were talking about. But it's always about the dollar right now. And it's just not to that point yet where that could be, fiscally feasible and still have a decent payoff for these guys for winning the league. I mean, each guy that wins that league this year is going to get a pretty decent chunk of change. So, on the winning team. So, do you lessen that to do more travel and have more? Yeah, it's a tough thing, because it's taking a little more money out of the players' pockets.
Something else that I don't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a PBA thing. It's every sport. MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL. You have all of these major sports. Now, the PBA is not at that level with viewership. Fine, right, I understand. Right. But I'm just saying, even NASCAR, all of these sports, I don't believe I've ever seen an airline advertise on any of them. I don't believe I've ever watched a Super Bowl or a World Series or an MLB playoffs or an MLB game of the week on TBS or ESPN when they used to have Sunday Night Baseball, NBC, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football on ESPN. I don't think I've ever seen United Airlines as a sponsor of the official airline in the National Football League, or the official.
Southwest was for a while for the NFL.
Were they Southwest? Was?
Yeah, I've seen
that. Would be, to me, that would make sense for like the PBA tour if you're going to do something like this, right? The PBA League, flown by Southwest Airlines or something like that. And then, part of the deal with Southwest is you fly our guys from one location to the next, whatever the case may be. Now, again, easier said than done, right? Oh, Sparky, it's so easy. You go do it. I understand. But that might be something else to consider, because these guys are driving all over. We know this, and it's It's not easy. It's not fun. Majority of these guys aren't flying. For those of you that think they're flying, they're driving.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're driving together a lot of times, and then they're rooming together in the different hotels and motels or wherever they're staying across the country. Like, it's not some
glamorous.
It's not. No, it's not like you're the MLB or the NFL and you're staying in 5-star hotels when you arrive in town and you're there and you're flown on the charter flight. Not like that. That's just not happening with what we're talking about here with the PBA bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, the last time that there was a hotel sponsor for the PBA, it was Dick Weber with Choice Hotels back in the 90s. If you remember, you pop out of the suitcase in the middle of the bed, and that's the last one I can remember for a hotel for the PBA. You look right now, you look at the PBA, just the team names, and there's only 5 teams that have some form of sponsorship along with the team names. 2 of those are bowling related. You got Go Bowling and you've got Brylow with the LAX. Other than that, you've got Chicago Guaranteed Rate. You've got obviously the Milwaukee Pounders with PBR. And then now, of course, I'm blanking on the third sponsor. But Snickers Waco Wonder is the third. So, you've got 3 other outside the industry sponsors, and there's still 5 teams available that they could hopefully sometime soon get some form of sponsorship for to add to it, or because now you're even looking at Major League Baseball. I was looking when the Arizona Diamondbacks were playing Milwaukee, and they had Avnet. My wife used to work for that company years ago, and Avnet is now on the jerseys. And you look at a lot of Major League Baseball jerseys now; they have some form of company sponsorship. Hopefully, the same thing can trickle down to the remainder of these PBA teams as well.
Yeah, I think that is all part of it. And as we've kind of talked about in the past, you don't really have a sales staff necessarily selling these guys like that. It's just not necessarily happening. Right. So Fox is selling it, but where does the PBA rank really on the laundry list of things that Fox has that they're also trying to get sponsorships for? And so forth. Right. So it's probably not at the football. It's probably not at the centerpiece. It's not their major client necessarily.
If you look at Fox's lineup right now, though, I mean, with the writer's strike and the actor's strike, they're going to be looking for a lot of either sports or reality programming coming up. So who knows if even for the PBA, who knows if they can get an additional TV show or 2 switched over from FS1 onto Big Fox during the league as well. If there's still a writer's strike. I don't watch
any of the shows that are affected by this. None of them. None. Do you know what I watch? I watch HGTV, which is reality. I watch Food Network, which is essentially reality. I haven't watched a full scripted show since Suits, and that was probably like 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Since I stopped watching that show, and I just lost track. Not because it wasn't a good show. It's an awesome show if you ever get a chance to watch that series. But since then, I've not watched a scripted show on TV since. And Rami Makloff, who used to be on the Wendy's Big Show, would always just be so mad at me. This is the golden era of TV. There are so many good shows to watch. Like that, what show is that? Yellowstone or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool show to watch. I don't have time to sit there and watch a series at this point with kids running all over the place. I just don't have time for it. But that would be a show I would be interested in.
Yeah.
So this whole writer's strike and all this other stuff, like you're talking about, Phil, maybe they're going to have to fill at some point with the PBA Tour or something else. Maybe we'll get to that point. That'd be good for the PBA Tour.
Absolutely. Especially a nice primetime weeknight. Why not?
Right.
I got a couple of questions. Since the league has started, have they added teams? Was it like 8 originally? Now it's 10. When did they go to 10?
Chicago got added
before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of years now.
The pandemic. Yeah. They didn't have it in 2020 because of the pandemic. They were going to, and then 2021 was the first year with the draft with Milwaukee and Waco.
And the other thought I had was with the pros being in town on Monday, Phil, for the LBC squad, where did the draft even come from, or where were they when they did the draft?
It was all virtual. So Bowl TV hosted it. You didn't have to have a Bowl TV subscription to watch it yesterday.
And it was live.
And so basically Tom Clark was in his home office in Muskego, and wherever all the team managers may have happened to be is where the draft came from. So it was basically a virtual draft.
Should have had him here in the 1250 studio. That would have been a much better look right there.
There were a couple of managers. Yeah, there were a couple of managers that were in town over the weekend. The bowl of the LBC National. Kellen Dorman Ballard was here. Del Ballard was here.
I could have put a bunch of them in the conference room here at the radio station. At least they all would have been in the same room. Could have been like a big fantasy football draft.
Exactly.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, and then a couple of the managers like Emlyn and Malicelli are bowling the PBA 50 World Series of bowling in Jackson, Michigan right now, so they wouldn't have been able to be here for that. But could have been a few of them inside your studio. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk about some of what happened here. We were wrong on our projections of how this whole thing was going to play out. Like, for instance, Wes Malott got saved.
Right. That was a shocker for me right away.
Yeah.
Why? But why is it a shocker? I said, and I was talking about Rash, but in reality, it applies to all of them. They're going to keep their guys or their friends or whatever the case may be. There's no reason he should have been kept. And there's no damn reason Packy Hanrahan should have been thrown back. Now, he ends up being the number 1 overall pick, fine. But that's ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry. There is no excuse for that whatsoever. None, Dwight.
I understand. And I get it. It's the buddy system. I keep calling it when it comes to these drafts. It's no different than we have a fantasy draft tournament at New Berlin, and a lot of guys like to take their buddies or people that they think they're going to have success with year after year. So, but Malott on his show this year, that was hard to watch.
Here, I got one for you. Brett Spangler, right? We all know Brett Spangler,
right?
With Motive, right? Yep. PBA Tour rep. He tweeted this out yesterday. He tweeted out, there's a team in the league with an average player ranking of 52.
Yeah.
This is a league with only 50 players. This is a problem. As a comparison, I checked another team and their average ranking is 18.
It has to be the Pounders.
But
no, it's the Waco Wonders, because you've got Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Parker Bone III, who both bowl very part-time schedules on the PBA Tour, especially because competitive in age. You've got who else do we have? BJ Moore, part-time player. Thomas Larson didn't bowl a lot this year because his girlfriend was having pregnancy complications, and he spent a good chunk of time back home in Denmark. And then Jason Sterner, who had an okay year. He's in the, but you look at the top 50 in points, and the only one I see that's definitely in there is Sterner. Moore is probably just inside because, like we said, part-time player. He's got he's got a family business at home he's a part of. So I take that from Brett with a grain of salt. But you look at you look at the average age of that team or rank. with Walter Ray and Parker on, they're both in their 60s. Then you look at the average age, might be 52, but the average rank too as well.
Right. And then the other one that's brought up in the PBA article, Norm Duke protected Matt Ogle as his successor on the Dallas Strikers, rejoining Tommy Jones and Bill O'Neill, and leaving Santu as the odd man out in that one. That one is a little bit more understandable, but I don't know. I think I'd rather have Santu than Tommy Jones.
At this point in time, yeah. Especially because this year qualifying, last year qualifying was important because you were in your 2 divisions, you bowled inside your division, and then it was that 1 game step ladder to get to the to get to the finals. And with the extra TV show this year, the format's been changed up a little bit. We can get into that later. But if you're a 1 or 2 qualifier, you get to buy the semifinals this year. So that qualifying is more important than ever. And the way Ogle struck last year, Ogle didn't miss much during qualifying on the old side of Bayside. And Santu struggled a little bit. When Santu got to the new side, Santu couldn't miss.
Right.
But you got to get by that qualifying too. So it was a tough call. You knew Norm wasn't going to break up his part of the franchise.
Sure.
And with that, Ogle was the easier choice than Santu. So not knowing we made picks last week and we didn't know what the format of the league was going to be this year. Now that it was revealed yesterday during the draft, that if you finish 6th through 10th, you're in a 1 game stepladder on that opening show from Bayside. Qualifying is more important than ever. And it wasn't like past years where it was like, okay, we're on the show. We got 2 Baker games. A squirrel can find a nut with some of the guys they took. Now it's like, yeah, we actually have to bowl really well in qualifying. So
interesting. So the way this whole thing ended up going was, so Packy Hanrahan ended up going first, then Santu second, then the future star, right? Kevin McCune.
Yep.
He goes third to LAX. Then Kevin Williams to Chicago, Sam Cooley to Motown, Simonelli. I don't know. I have no idea.
He bowls well at Bayside.
I understand, but I'm just saying, if you go over the course of what he did this year,
right?
Then Sean Lavery-Spar to Milwaukee, Matt Russo to Las Vegas, Sean Maldonado to Dallas, and I don't even know the last guy. Who's the last guy? Graham what?
Graham Fa. He won the Players' Championship back in 2016 from Canada.
Yep.
Once
Lefty.
again, the lefties have been feast or famine on tour this year, but he's been Central Regional Player of the Year for the last couple of years. And once again, at Bayside, everybody wants one lefty that can do something because lefties really seem to have success there. I mean, there's 5 lefties in the first 10 picks. If you look at it, you got Packy, Kevin Williams, Simonelli, Russo, and Fa. I mean, teams are going to have their lefty.
No doubt. All right, so let's look at the teams now. We'll go through them here one by one and see what you guys think. Portland Lumberjacks, Wes Malott, Kyle Troop, Chris Prather, Graham Fa, is that how you say it?
Yep.
And Arturo Quintero are those 5 for the Portland Lumberjacks. Love Kyle Troop, love Prather, not sold on the rest. Dwight?
I have them finishing second out of the top 10. I think LAX and the Lumberjacks could end up being in your 2 finals on TV.
No, I'm not a fan of that team. What about you, Phil?
They have a really good chance to repeat. Quintero, when he was on TV last year, MVP performance, easily MVP performance. Saw Wes at the LBC Pro Squad Monday night. He looked better than he did all year. I mean, he looked physically better and everything. And you know, you don't go against the champions. I mean, when you
I'm going against the champions.
Okay,
I'll tell you right now, I'm picking against the damn champions.
Yeah, I think the weak link could be Wes.
Well, maybe. Or Quintero caught lightning in a bottle last year, and we don't see that again.
Yeah.
That's where I'm.
Quintero had a rough. Yeah, I mean, Quintero had a rough year on tour.
Let's go over something, Phil. What type of physical exertion is Malott going to have to go through here when they go out there to do this league play?
Well, it's going to be 10 games of Baker match. I don't have it officially in front of me, but it's going to be like a round robin match play for the 10 teams that are involved in qualifying. It's a one-day qualifier, so it's not going to take a lot out of them. I mean, 10
He's not having to bowl 30 or 40 games or nothing crazy.
Two frames a game.
Right.
Yeah.
So physically, he should be able to handle the exertion of what he's got to go through here.
Exactly.
All right. Go bowling. Dallas Strikers. Tommy Jones, Bill O'Neill, Matt Ogle, Sean Maldonado, Chris Barnes. They should call this the Go Bowling Dallas Old Guys. At this point, I mean, Tommy Jones old, Bill O'Neill old, Chris Barnes old. You got 3 of these 5 guys are old. Now, again, if this was 10 years ago, I'd feel really good about this team, regardless of the other 2. With Ogle, who's probably had the best year out of all of them at this point. And then Maldonado obviously getting his chance as well. Phil, your thoughts on Tommy Jones and Chris Barnes and what to expect from them?
They'll gel. I have no doubt about it. They've built international competition as part of Team USA together. Barnes as an addition to that team is great. And Maldonado and Tommy Jones, when they've bowled near each other, like at the World Series of Bowling, they both seem to pick each other up. I mean, Maldonado had a really solid World Series of Bowling. And it's just one of those things where you look at the pick and you just go, okay, it could be a little bit of nepotism or something, but they do pick each other up. I mean, you know, Maldonado and Jones and those guys, they're going to be in the running, especially with Norm still steering the ship and Norm's eye and the way he works his team. They're going to be in the running for one of those top 2 in qualifying, I think.
Can we expand on this?
Okay.
What exactly do these guys really do that are running these teams? What do they really do?
It could be just a set of eyes.
Because you still have ball reps there, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So what is he doing then? Or any of these, man? I mean, listen, I'm all about having Marshall Holman be the guy running Milwaukee. I want to get Holman back on the Spare Time podcast. So love me some Marshall Holman, favorite bowler of all time.
Right.
So that's cool. What I'm saying is, what are they actually doing other than signing autographs and kissing babies?
Just in case there's like they see the team, you know, the team is like, okay, this guy's bowling a little bit better, and they're kind of like the tiebreaker. It's kind of like, okay, you know, for us, okay, Sean Rash might be struggling a bit. Who's he going to put in the 5 spot?
So they make so they're making the lineup.
Yeah, they'll make the lineup, and they'll talk it. And you see the teams talking together. They're talking, and if 2 guys are going, I should do this, then you'll see Marshall make that decision, type of thing. So they're the ones setting the lineup. They're the ones doing everything. They're watching what's going on. It's not. I mean, it's 5 guys in a bowling lane. There's honestly not a lot to it, to be honest. But they're the guys are looking, and ball reps are probably making a couple of choices in there as well with what balls the guys are using. I'm sure it's not the managers doing that. So it's it's just a weird conflagration of everything coming together and hopefully not blowing up.
The one thing that Duke brings, though, is he brings all that experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, he knows the center real well. And he's just such a smart guy from all the years he's been out on the tour. So I think he's like a great manager.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's not a good manager. I'm just asking for the fans at home, like, what are they really actually doing?
Yeah.
And that is, picking that anchor bowler is a big deal, right?
Yes.
And picking who that guy is going to be or girl is going to be, in the 5th or 10th frame. In this case, it's all guys, obviously.
Yeah. Who's got the best
teams.
look?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
I mean, Norm took it from the practice session last year, and when they bowled qualifying, and everybody's seen Ogle in the 5 spot, like, what the hell's going on? Well, he saw something during qualifying, and Ogle just crushed him.
Yeah,
crushed it.
Absolutely crushed him in qualifying.
I have them
same
5th.
thing on most of the show.
You have them 5th.
I have them 5th out of top 10.
All right. Las Vegas High Rollers, Andrew Anderson, Francois Lavoie, AJ Johnson, Matt Russo, and Ruiz Jr. Is this one.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think, Phil Brylow?
Yeah. It's everybody from last year, pretty much. Yeah.
Brought back the same team.
Yeah.
Kind of rolled it back. Dwight?
I got them 9th.
9th.
I think that they're going to be at the bottom. I just don't think there's, except for Francois and Andrew Anderson, AJ Johnson, of course, Hungary and young, but you got to produce a winner.
That's true.
And so I just don't think they're going to be in that top 5, let's say.
All right. Pabst Blue Ribbon, Milwaukee Pounders. My favorite bowler of all time. No, Sean Rash. and then it's Dick Allen, AJ Chapman, Sean Lavery Spar, and Anthony Lavery Spar.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Thoughts, Dwight?
Well, I have them at 8th. Dick Allen has obviously got great chemistry with Portland and obviously possibility. But again, a lot of those guys, at least Rash and Dick Allen, are aging. AJ Chapman, he bowls good in qualifying, gets on TV, doesn't bowl very good on TV. And then the Spar brothers really struggle at that place. So I just don't see them top 5.
This is what I feel like. I feel like Phil and Dwight are more connected and tuned into who should be drafting, why they should be getting drafted, where they're getting drafted, than the actual people doing the damn drafting. Like, I swear to God, you guys know the history of these guys at the place, qualifying team, all this stuff. You're laying it all out. And I'm listening to both of you like, I think you all should be doing the damn draft for these guys instead of them doing the draft.
I am a PBA
guys. I know you are, but I'm just saying you guys are so tuned in and the memories of an elephant of what's happened in past years. I can barely remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Okay, Phil, thoughts on the Milwaukee Pounders?
Chapman's going to make or break that team as far as they get. I hate to say it. Dwight mentioned it. Just he's a kid that can either catch fire or he doesn't have a clue, and that's a problem in these short format runs like he's getting in the league. The Lavery Spar brothers, great picks. Sean had a great year. Anthony had he actually bowled the entire season with an inner ear disorder that's now fixed. So try and imagine bowling on the Pro Tour without having a great balance.
No way.
And he gutted through the year. He's got that fixed now. It's his time to shine. I think the Lavery Spar brothers are going to be great once they get on TV. It's AJ Chapman's the one I'm kind of worried about. And he's got a few more fans. AJ does. He's engaged to a girl from Bayside now. So maybe that gives AJ a little extra incentive. So
good for him. See, look at Bayside.
Right.
Bowling heaven and wedding heaven, apparently, on the way for AJ Chapman. They do weddings there. That we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Snickers Waco Wonders.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. Who at Snickers picked to sponsor the Waco Wonders? Whose choice was that? Seriously, you could have had any other team. You could have had New York City. Why would you go with Waco, Texas?
That's where the Snickers bar was invented.
Is Waco. That why? Yes. Okay, that makes more sense then.
So there's history there. Yeah.
Thank God. I know Waco for Magnolia Farms, right? And Fixer Upper, the TV show Fixer Upper. That's why I want to go to Waco. I want to go to Magnolia Farms. Okay, so here we go. Parker Bowden III, BJ Moore, Jason Sterner, Ryan Simonelli, and then Frank Snodgrass. Right? So you got those 5. Thoughts, Dwight?
I got him finishing last. I got him finishing 10th. Sorry. I think Parker doesn't have the rev rate anymore. Can't compete with the young guys. All for him is about shot making. He has had some success at Portland, Maine. Simonelli, questionable, I mean, part-time. Frank Snodgrass made one, I believe, TV show this year. Nice to see him in there, but you think regional tour with him. And I would say that Sterner is going to be your heart of that team. BJ Moore hit a great rev rate. You talked about it this year. Who's BJ Moore on our show here?
Yep.
So, even though he was top qualifier at one of the shows at Brylow. So there's another young guy that is hit or miss. So unless they catch a lot of chemistry together, I don't see them going very far.
Are these teams too big? Do they need to shorten these teams from 5 to 4?
No.
And do the keepers need to go from 3 to 2?
No.
Because literally, if you look at the fifth bowlers on a lot of these teams, nobody's tuning in to watch the fifth bowler on a lot of these teams.
Honestly, I'd love to see the rosters go to 6. So that's another decision, A, the managers have to make, and B, that gives another option on the team where if somebody's struggling, you can plug in somebody else. I'd love to see the rosters go to 6. They originally had it the first year, but the 6 bowlers never bowled the first year PBA League was around.
Right.
Kelly Kulick was a draft pick that year. She never touched the ball. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see the rosters go to 6.
Now, that would be a way. Now, there you go. You came up with something there. Now, that would be a way to help the women's tour. Make them all draft somebody from the women's PBA tour.
That would be a great idea.
Add that into the mix. You all got to draft one female from the women's PBA tour, and let's tie them in. Listen, you're not asking them to go bowl full matches. You're asking them to bowl 2 frames.
Right.
That's what you're asking them to do. Plain and simple.
And there is a lot of talent out there on the ladies tour.
I mean, that if they care, I'm not saying they do. I'm saying if they care about that women's tour and if they want to bring some publicity to the women's tour,
you got 10 ladies on there.
Right. That would be a way to do it. And then you introduce a lot of these female bowlers to these bowling fans that may not watch the women's tour and don't have the first idea about the women's tour. And you're doing it in bowling heaven where there's a million bowling crazy people and fans that I'm sure would love to see something different like that.
Yeah, I saw Daria Payak last weekend, but that was in person at Bowlero Wauwatosa. Anybody else seen her since she bowled in Phoenix?
No.
Seen Verity Crowley same weekend. Anybody else seen her since she bowled in Phoenix?
No, but that's what I'm saying. From that perspective, that would add something to it. Now, I don't know what the PBA stance on that would be one way or the other, but
I love the idea.
But that would help bring that tour along a little bit. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Okay, so let's move on to the next one here. Now we go to Motown Muscle.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to show off some muscle.
EJ Tackett. Ooh, buddy.
Oh, yep.
Anthony Simonson.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy. Cooley and Bohr. They're winning it. That's who I'm taking. Y'all can have your Portland Lumberjacks or whatever the heck they're called. I'll take these boys and take these boys to win it. Go ahead, Phil.
I got them making top 4. I don't know if they'll get 1 or 2 spot, but I definitely got them in qualifying, getting in the top 4. Hupe, former champion with Portland, knows how to win in Bayside. Sam Cooley, bowling with a fire in his belly because he got overlooked last year after he had a pretty solid season. And he was shaky the first time at Bayside, but now he's got, it's like everybody else. You get that first experience under there.
Get the nerves out.
Get the nerves out, everything like that. Nathan Bohr, one of the smartest people when it comes to lane play, game play, that type of thing. You've never really seen a lot of Nathan on TV, but in this team format with watching everybody, and he's a part-time ball rep on tour as well. He's going to be really able to help his teammates out with that. And he had a really solid World Series of bowling as well, getting into the end of the season. I think that could be the surprise team. They've never done anything. I mean, when's the last time you remember Motown Muscle getting into a second TV show?
Yeah.
I think this is the year that Del Ballard's finally got something together on that great core he's had with EJ and Simonson since day one. And they really do something in PBA League, and I think they're going to be top 4 easy.
Dwight, what do you say you?
Yep, top 4. I have them 4th. Only weak spot could be Nathan Bohr. Again, just doesn't have the ball speed rev rate to match up, but I agree with Phil. Super smart guy. He does a lot of work with the ladies tour. See him always as a kind of like a staffer with the women when they're on TV. So I get that, but obviously, speed and revs again always seem to win. And look at the first 2, EJ and Anthony Simon. So strong team. I agree with Phil. Top 4.
Yep. All right. Very good. And, I think there's something else you could do too with this PBA League thing we're talking about. If you add that sixth player, whoever that may be, if you're going to go with a women's player, another men's player, if you simply make the rule that the top player on your team has to sit out one match at some point in PBA League play, whether that's the first match, the second match, the third match, but at one point that sixth player has to bowl, and that top bowler has to sit out, and then it's all strategy of when you're going to do that and how long you're going to wait to do that.
Just like IndyCar with their tires.
Correct.
Same thing.
Right. Absolutely. Guaranteed rate Chicago Breeze. Dom Barrett. Likey. Tom Smallwood. Like the TV show, sad it went away. Jake Peters. Kevin Williams. And Kaiko. I like them. I'm okay with them. I don't know about the Smallwood thing, but I mean, I think they're solid, Phil.
Smalls look good Monday night, the LBC Pro squad. Didn't look like his foot was bothering him. He had to withdraw from the World Series bowling here because he was having some foot issues. Jake Peters led the squad on no sleep. He had trouble getting out of Reno, and he had to 1 a.m. drive to San Francisco to catch a 6 a.m. flight to get to O'Hare and then drive up here and basically get there and bowl right away. And he led the squad with 14:59 for 6 games. So, I mean, he bowled very well on no sleep. Kevin Williams, pretty hot hand. Got another title. He's been winning regionals. He just moved out west. So I know for the music career, for the bowling career, but he's been doing really well on the PBA Regional Tour since moving out west. And then Kaiko, we've saw him several times on TV, and you talk about the new face. He's not Rookie of the Year eligible this year because he had some tournaments in 2022, but he's the new face out of Finland. And they could, it's one of those ones where, okay, what's Kaiko going to do when he's in that type of setting?
Correct.
Talking to Martin Larson, when they have their Swedish league that Keiko's part of, it's as rowdy. He says it's almost as rowdy as Bayside if you're on the opposing team. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Dwight?
I have them finishing 7th. I could be wrong. They could catch fire, finish higher, but I got them finishing 7th.
This is good. You keep your top 10 because I want to revisit this as we go through this and see how accurate it kind of is. Bowlero LAX, I got them in the championship with my Motown muscle.
Me too.
Jason Belmonte, Jacob Buttriff, Stu Williams, Kevin McCune, Thomas Larson. That's solid top to bottom.
No brainer.
I
think they'll win it.
Where's your weakness, Phil? You're kind of over there.
Qualifying. I just think something in qualifying. They just never do well
together
before they get on the show. And then when they get on the show, they've done okay.
But
Belmo
they got the
still doesn't have a PBA league. I mean, the one thing Belmo basically doesn't have in the PBA that everybody else, kind of has, it's a PBA league title.
I think they all should just do a shot before they start. Just do a shot.
Do it Bayside.
Do a shot with the fans or whoever wants to do
Ring
it.
the bell.
Right. Do a shot and then you go out there and you bowl. Just loosen up a little bit because you can say whatever you want. And Belmonte can say whatever he wants. He knows he hasn't done this yet. And damn right well he wants to finish and do this.
Right.
What's in his head. And I guarantee you, Buttriff and Stu Williams are well aware of it as well. These guys know. Now, McCune, woo, baby. That dude is gonna be he is gonna be a
He
bull.
might be the whole show.
He is going. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those fans are gonna go nuts.
I will be shocked if those fans aren't losing their minds over McCune. I'll be shocked.
McCune was already
totally
pumped Monday night.
To be a fan favorite, Phil.
He was pumped Monday night just waiting for the draft to happen.
Oh, I bet.
He was like, what if they, he didn't really say, what if they don't draft me? And I'm like, dude, you're going in the first 3 picks.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, dude, you're going, man. It's not because it's not just, his attitude. It's his versatility as well. I mean, the guy can do a lot. If he has to get inside and slow wheel it, he can slow wheel it.
Right.
It's like his dad. His dad was underrated for so many years because it's Fireball Eugene. Well, no, we've seen Eugene win titles getting inside 4th, 5th arrow and slow wheeling it out to the gutter. And Kevin can do the same thing, and he can trick it up if he has to. And it's just a matter of what they can do to get through qualifying. Because if you're in the bottom half of that field, you're 6 through 10. It's a 1-game crapshoot. You throw one bad shot, and your team's gonna be out.
Yeah.
And you get the pressure under the team lights for the first time. How many times have we seen guys come out on fire first time on TV under the team lights in Portland?
I'm waiting for
his first time he was under 4 opens, and there's other guys that have not done well either. So
I'm waiting for the chance to go from Duke to Nuke in the crowd.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good one. I like it. Okay, next one. Silver Lake Atom Splitters. They used to be good back in the day. Jesper Svensson, Tom Doherty. Again, I don't know. I mean, Phil, you said you didn't think he was going to get kept, right?
I didn't think he was going to get kept, and they kept him.
Right. So, Chris Vi, Sentu, and Richie Teese. I don't know. Richie Teese thing, whatever. Somebody sell me on that.
Teese is just a solid player.
And I mean, there's nothing
internationally
special
for England team and that kind of thing. He's one of those guys that it's going to be, if it's not a strike, it's going to be 9 spare. Is really what that is right there. Doherty, of course, instantly proving me wrong, and he comes out Monday night at the LBC Pro Squad, and he finishes 3rd, so you'll see him on the shootout on TV in Portland as well. Tom's a little more relaxed. He seemed a little more relaxed. Like, okay, the season's done, the regular season's done, and he had just gone on vacation with his daughters in Puerto Rico, and he had a little different attitude to himself Monday night in the door. And maybe we'll see if that rolls over in the Portland, where it's just a little more just loose.
We talked about this with Rash for a million years doing this while we were doing the radio show, and now we're doing a podcast. Right. But the mental side of this is so important. Mm-hmm. And it's important in baseball. It's important in
chemistry
in all sports, the mental side of not getting in your own head and screwing yourself up, right? It's so important. And if you allow yourself to get so mad over something bad that happens, it's going to snowball and you're screwed the rest of whatever event you're trying to do because you can't get out of your own way. Right. That's the problem. And to me, when you have a team like this, they have to know what they've got. They have to know that, okay, if player X is all pissed off, and we know what happens when player X gets pissed off, it's their job to try and figure out how to get him out of his own head before his next shot while they're sitting over there talking to him. Now, how they do that, that's up to them. Don't know. But that's something I think that is very critical. Or if you're the manager of the team, right? That's another aspect of, dude, come here. And come over and do that whole thing. Remember the whole Joe Montana Super Bowl story, big critical situation? Hey, man, ain't that John Candy in the stands? And it gets everybody laughing. Like, dude, seriously, you're looking at, right? But that's kind of, for guys like Doherty and Rash and some of these other dudes that get in their heads and get real emotional when things go wrong, that's when you need somebody to step in and kind of help those guys get through that mental battle.
Go ahead, Phil.
You look at Mark Baker, who's managing the Atom Splitters. I mean, the number of guys he's coached in the PBA for decades. Right. He's exactly what you're talking about, Sparky. He's that guy that can pull somebody to the side and just go, hey, I saw this physically, or hey, calm down, that type of thing. Yeah, that's the Baker effect right there for the Atom Splitters.
Here's what I'm seeing with this team: lack of communication. Jesper, super quiet guy.
True.
Doherty, super quiet guy. Kind of usually very intense, angry. I don't know Richie Teese at all. Phil probably knows Richie Teese. Vi is super quiet, introverted. So is there going to be a communication factor there between them? That would be the 5 individual guys bowling on one team.
I think that's where the Baker factor comes into play. I think that's where where Baker can be the sponge, absorb it, and then pass it to everybody else on the team. I really think that's where Baker comes into play. I think the Atom Splitters could easily be in the top 4. My last.
I got him 6th.
All right, let's go to the New York City Kingpins. Marshall Kent, Kyle Sherman, Darren Tang, Michael Tang, and Packy Hanrahan are the New York City Kingpins. I think it's solid.
Yep.
I don't know if it's enough to win, but I think it's a solid team, Dwight.
Yeah, I have them 3rd. Kingpins, I have them at the 3rd place. A lot of talent there, a lot of young talent. Strong 3, Kent, Sherman, and Packy are my going to be the horses of that team.
I think the house should be sponsoring that team, which is basically what it is right there.
It's the house.
I mean, it's the house right there.
Right.
And so the chemistry is going to be good. It's going to make it a little easier for Carolyn Dorman Ballard to mesh the personalities on that team, obviously. I don't want to say cruise control for Carolyn because obviously she's going to keep an eye on ball motion and everything else going on. But it's just a matter of, can that chemistry get over the top when a clutch situation is needed? Marshall Kent, you look at the clutch situations, he used to be really on top of those. Not as much in the last couple of years, whether it's mental or physical or a combination of the two. If Marshall can step up and continue to be the leader on that team like CDB's made him the last couple of years, and get the results with the bowling ball on top of it, they could be the surprise. They could be the team that I think would normally be like 7th or 8th.
Right.
They could be the surprise that gets into the top 4 and gets a bye into the quarterfinals.
I have a question, another question. When do they rearrange the deck with these teams? Meaning, when does Rash get thrown back into the hopper off of Milwaukee and they get a new number 1? Like, was that ever established by Tom Clark as far as, okay, every 5 years, we're going to rearrange the deck and we're going to redraft from the start. We're going to get brand new number 1s for every team and kind of update it. Because if that wasn't stated, they should do that soon, because your top 1s, and I'm not talking about Kent or Jesper necessarily, but your top 1s, a couple of these guys, Parker Bowen III, Sean Rash, Tommy Jones, Wes Malott, those guys don't need to be top 1s anymore. I mean, they just, at this point, they need to rearrange the deck, I think, and let these managers, if they're going to keep the same managers, maybe they want to change the managers too, to spice it up and change it up a little bit. I don't know, but I think you need to rearrange the deck here to make sure Kyle Troop is the one making decisions on his team, and different guys like that
deserve it.
The guys that right now are the top of the hill, make sure they're the top guys every year.
Correct.
With the different teams.
Tackett.
Right. Yes, correct. That to me, Belmonte stays. Clearly, Belmonte stays
for now
as a 1. Fine.
Yeah.
But going forward, some of these other guys, I don't know, man. Like, I get it. They have fan bases because they've been bowling for so long. We know their names. There's name recognition. People still tune in to watch them bowl. But I think there should be some type of reward that if you're bowling well over a course of 3 to 5 year period. So let's say you do it every 3 years, right? And you just say, okay, the top, how many teams are there? I don't even know. How many teams are there? 10? The top 10 guys, average top 10 guys over the last 3 years, you guys are going to be number 1s for each team.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do a blind draw essentially of who goes where. So you put them all into a hat or whatever. All right. Okay. Portland Lumberjacks. The number 1 guy on that team is going to be, okay, that's going to be EJ Tack. The number 2 guy is going to be whoever.
Right.
And go from there. Don't worry about logistics of, oh, this person's from here and that person's from there. Screw all that. Just give everybody a legit number 1 bowler that's been good for the last 3 years and in the top 10 consistently, and then go from there and rearrange the deck. And you do that, I don't know, every 3 years, every 5 years, because otherwise it's going to get
stale.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. With all due respect.
Same guys on the same teams.
I think,
look, we're all old. All 3 of us are old guys. So to all of you dudes that are like, oh my God, why are they all over us for it? Because we're old too. I get it. Yeah. You got to let these young guys at some point get out in front and lead the damn tour. And this, to me, you're not really allowing that to happen based on how this happens. Andrew Anderson, should he be a 1? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have issues with some of this. I guess is my thing at this point, Phil. I think it's time for a reset.
I mean, there's been guys, and I mean, look at this year. I mean, last year, Pete Weber walked off the set and said, I'm done.
And he is done.
Yeah. And
that's fine.
Yeah. And it's just some of these guys, it's just as long as they think they can still compete and the team managers don't pull the trigger on getting. I mean, they did that with Chris Barnes. Mark Baker and Chris Barnes have been friends for 30 years. I mean, Baker's coached Barnes for 30 years.
Yep.
And it got to the point where the Adams players had to stay competitive and Barnes wasn't helping the thing. And, and Bake said, you're gone. And now, Chris is he's bowling well enough on the kids tour to still get picked in the league. He got picked up again this year. So, I don't know if it'd be neat to see things get mixed up more, or maybe just keep top 2s or whatever. But you've seen this, you think with a team with EJ Tackett and Anthony Simonson for how many years should be doing something in league, should have at least 1 Elias Cup in their back pocket, and they don't. LAX should have at least 1 Elias Cup in their back pocket, and they don't.
Right. So, I'll tell you something else that you could do. My brain's just going. We're already 43 minutes in, way longer than we should be. But I love talking about this stuff because it's something that's still relatively new, that's been more successful than I think anybody realized when it started. Players are heavily invested in it, and it's an ego thing to be drafted. They want to win and all of that, right?
Correct.
Right. A couple of other things. So we talked about having home stops for the league, right? Let's take that out for a second. You have literally like a month between all of this happening. Why couldn't you have a weekend where the 5 bowlers between now and league start, one weekend, where the 5 bowlers from, say, Milwaukee do a pro-am with at Brylow with whoever wants to sign up to be a part of that pro-am.
Yep.
And these 5 bowlers are there, and you have some t-shirts that say, the PBR Milwaukee Pounders on it or whatever else. Everybody gets in the pro-am, gets a t-shirt. They'll sign autographs, do whatever, hang out, bowl couple games, 2-3 games. And now Milwaukee gets to actually meet their bowlers and get a little bit more of a rooting interest in it.
Right.
You get some TV, get some media promoting that, hey, PBA League starts coming up, blah, 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 blah. Support your Milwaukee team, follow us on Twitter, all that fun stuff. Kind of go from there. I think that would be another way to introduce the team to the city by doing it with a pro-am kind of leading up to the event. Now, again, whether or not the bowlers would be down for that, I have no idea, Phil, but go ahead.
Well, if you get I remember the days with the Miller High Life, and they'd have the bowler that won the last year, a couple of weeks beforehand to promote. Same thing. And it's just, they made sure, the bowlers got paid that showed up for that Miller High Life thing. They got paid pretty well because to skip a PBA tournament at that time, you had to make sure you had some guaranteed money for them. You can do the same thing. Sure, it's 5 players, but if they get enough expense money, that type of thing, you could have them come in and not just do Milwaukee, but do Madison and Green Bay.
Now you're making it more expensive.
Well, but they can do multiple pro-ams and multiple appearances. You do it over 3-4 days. So then that way, if you send them the people will have a better chance of showing up. Not many people are going to drive 2 hours down for a pro-am from Green Bay, but you send them up there. There's going to be a lot more people that want to bowl.
Do a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, and a Sunday afternoon.
There you go. You're all set.
And that's what they did in 2004. I believe the first year the Masters was in town, they hired Norm Duke.
Right.
And Duke did it every year. He did a meet and greet and a little bowling tournament at the different red carpets for all the years from 04 to 07.
Right.
I like your idea about
think about
the top 10.
When Bill Monty came to Castle Lanes, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was
people were waiting hours.
Yes, it was packed. That's one dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing 5 dudes.
Right.
Man, come on. People would lose their minds.
But it's Belmont.
I understand it's Belmont. I get it. But again, I mean, even if you say for Milwaukee, it's Sean Rash, Dick Allen. Now the other 4, who knows? But it's still 5 PBA bowlers. But that one guy, and again, I go back to that's why we need to reset this. But that one guy is going to be your main draw. But the other guys are still PBA bowlers. And I don't care who you are. If you think you're as good as them, go be in the pro-am and see if you're really as good as them. Yeah. You're going to find out quick how good they really are. Right. You're going to see quick how good they really are.
But it's no different than if you're able to actually attend and go to a game. I'm a Brewers fan because I can go to a game at American Family Field. I can go there and be part of that experience. You get the bowlers in there for those prams, like you're saying. I'm part of the experience. I'm more tied into seeing what they're doing on TV when they're on FS1.
Dude, think about it.
Yes.
I'm bowling in a PBA Pro-Am at Brylow. We get all done, and all of a sudden, I'm having drinks with AJ Chapman or Dick Allen, and we're having a couple beers.
Yeah.
Now, I may not know who the hell he was prior to this, but now we're boys.
The interaction.
I had a beer with them, or I had a shot with them. This is my
the
guy
story
for life.
that you can tell.
I'm not missing anything on TV now, and I'm going to tell everybody. Plus, again, you have merchandise.
Right, exactly.
Everybody gets a shirt.
I'm wearing their shirt.
And now you walk around, everybody's like, Pass Blue Ribbon Milwaukee Pounders. What the hell is that? Is that a softball team? What is that? No, man, it's a PBA bowling team. Get out of here. What are you talking about?
Getting the word out.
And now there's storytelling. Yeah, man, I bowled with these guys, man. It was awesome. You should do it when they come into town next year. That's what you want. That community aspect.
I mean, think about this. You know how many people bought H5G had a T-shirt on site at the LBC National Championships. It said 40 years, 40 titles, Norm's profile pick or Norm's pick, and then a picture of the Duke trophy too. You know how many people that just only saw the trophy? Didn't, because Norm was only there opening weekend, saw that trophy and then went and bought a T-shirt.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so, I mean that's the type of stuff that I'm always kind of looking at. So reset the deck at some point here soon with some of these top younger bowlers. And that doesn't say you can't draft Sean or you can't draft Chris Barnes. You can draft them, but the top players on each team are going to be set kind of for 3 to 5 years and then go from there.
Here's my idea. The PBA is all about points, point accumulation. Take your top 10 point accumulators
over like a 3-year average. And those are your top 10. Right.
Exactly.
And it's a blind draw. And the reason you change it every 3 years and you take it out of the manager's hands, is because if you do the pro-am idea, so Milwaukee gets the same 5 dudes, or maybe not same 5 dudes, but the same first couple of dudes, and then the mix up of the next 3 or whatever. But that same top bowler comes for 3 years. Then after 3 years are up, maybe you get Kyle Troop. Now for 3 years, you get Jason Belmonte because he's on Team Milwaukee. And then for 3 years, maybe you get EJ Tackett. So now these everybody here eventually gets to do a pro-am with one of the top bowlers on the tour over the course of however many years.
Correct.
Right. That's the one thing you never see too. With when's the last time you remember a trade in PBA League?
Right.
Yeah, it was popular early on, though. There were a bunch that one year where when we were doing the show, we're like, what the hell is going on? There's trades all over the place. Right. Yeah. But you're right. You haven't seen that in quite some time. You're right. Yep. Okay, that'll do it for the recap of the PBA League Draft. We are 49 minutes in, and we have more. Dwight, with LBC stories that you have, give us a couple. I don't want this to take 30 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. Phil saw it firsthand, but I watched it I was there for opening ceremonies, and then I watched the rest of it on the PBA Facebook. So a couple of the things that I saw was and impressed me was the 17-year-old young man from Wisconsin that shot 1538, I believe. Phil got a chance to see that. He's going to be on TV. You got to talk about Lenny Borsch.
Love Lenny Borsch.
Lenny Borsch winning the senior.
Yep.
And he'll be on TV representing Wisconsin. How cool is that? The three ladies that are going to be top seed actually outscored the men that were in town. That was going to be my question for Phil. Did the final squad or the men's squad for the PBA get different lane conditions, or they all had a bowl in the same?
No, condition? It was the same experience. They could do. I mean, they could have beers while they were bowling. It was the same LBC national rules. So several players, once they knew they were out of it, crack a beer, let's go. There were buckets going around behind the lanes.
Nice.
So it's definitely different. I gotta admit, I had a beer in the booth while I was doing the live stream.
Way to go, Phil.
I mean,
way to show your professionalism, buddy.
Exactly. So hey, I was just joining in the crowd, man. When Ronnie Russell offers you a beer,
you take
Mike J offers you a beer,
you're not going to say no.
Right, you're not going to say no. But so it was kind of laid back atmosphere. It's just they had the same condition. It's just when you get that ball speed, rev rate, equipment, crossing lanes at Brylow, we all know how different it is because they still go all the way across from one end of the house to the other. Yeah, it's not surprising that the top scores were a little lower off that squad than the overall winners in the Open Classic and other divisions. Yeah,
but how impressive is Verity Crowley?
Oh yeah, I mean it was fun to watch her that day, and she was just
average 250.
Yeah, and just crossing lanes. Liz Johnson throws 279 the last game to get past her on Sunday.
That's wild.
It was incredible to watch. It was pretty cool, and the faces that are going to be on there. And I'll tell you what, that Trey Heinrichsmeyer, the kid out of Eau Claire, I know he's bowling junior gold this week. I haven't followed it all. I haven't had time, but man, to be 17 years old and you're going to Bayside Bowl with a $25,000 scholarship in your back pocket already.
Yeah.
And a chance to win another $60,000 on the TV show if you win that eliminator format. It's that one ball eliminator. So, the three pros are going in there with Jake Peters, AJ Johnson, and Tom Doherty. You don't want to be that first guy out. You don't want to be the Greek church guy. And all of a sudden,
but you know what, though? There's no intimidation factor with those three. It's not Belmonte. It's not Tackett. It's not Troop. It's nobody that's
Simonson.
Right. Yeah, it's not Simonson. Like if this, and who knows? This kid may not even watch the PBA tour for all we know.
He does. Yeah. I got a chance to talk to him.
So you did. Okay. Yeah. So if he follows the PBA tour, there's not going to be an intimidation factor here. The intimidation factor is going to be the lights and the fact you're on TV. That's going to be the intimidation
and
factor.
The crowd.
I don't think it'll be the other three.
Liz Johnson and Danielle McEwen are going to be the intimidation factor because these kids know Danielle, obviously from bowling. She's not even 30 yet. And she's out there really popular on social media. And Liz is just the GOAT on the women's side of the equation. Jake Peters, he might not be intimidating, but you got to remember the last eliminator they had last year at Bayside for the team. Guess who won it?
Yeah.
Jake Peters. He's been there before. He knows what to do. He might not have that intimidating look, but when the guy's coming back as kind of the defending champion of that eliminator shootout, he's going to make people think twice.
Yeah, I want to see him win so bad.
Yeah.
Jake Peters.
He won his first title here in Milwaukee back in 2013 in the summer.
You're a Jake Peters fan, Dwight?
I am for many reasons.
Okay.
He lost his wife at a very young age.
That sucks.
And you can't help but cheer for the guy. You want to see him break through and win more titles. Sure. Phil, didn't he win like Sportsman of the Year?
Back to back. He's our reigning Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award winner back to back.
What did he do to win Sportsman of the Year?
He's just one of those guys that he'll go out of his way to help other players off the lanes, that type of thing. He's a sportsman on the lanes.
So he's a good dude.
The term great guy is way overused in bowling, but it definitely should be used for Jake Peters.
That's awesome. I still hope the 17-year-old wins. He is Phil Brylow. You can follow him on Twitter at Bruce City Bowling. Dwight Albrecht, Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin. That's how we came up with the name of the show all those years ago. At Dewey 300. You can follow me at Sparky Radio, of course, over at 1250 amthefan.com. If you're a Brewers fan, we do weekly Tim Dillard interviews over there that you can check out. Bally Sports Wisconsin Brewers analysts, lots of Badgers and Packers and all kinds of other interviews I do throughout the course of the week. You can check out as well. For the most part, we do one a day throughout the football season for sure. And then the Brewer season, probably a couple a week we do. Next week, we'll do this all over again. We'll have a guest. I don't know who yet, but we'll have somebody. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the weekend and have fun, everybody. Toodles.